Hey, good morning, everybody. Just want to introduce you to the newest member of the pack. This is Piper. Not named after this. Named after Mrs. Buckeye's favorite character on Charmed. But this is our little rescue girl. She got hit by a car about 3.5 weeks ago, and she's doing really good. So she just wanted to make her YTPC debut today. So I'll be back, have a chat with you, have a pipe with you. But I just wanted to introduce everybody to Piper, newest member of our pack. Be back, folks. So good morning again, everybody. That was Piper, so newest member of the pack. I'm still kind of holding on to her, so forgive the leash in my hand. She's hanging out with me today, at least right now. Mrs. Buckeye's doing some interior design work on the kitchen that she wanted to do, so she was at Lowe's at 6:30 this morning. I'm like, that's all you, babe. I'll be here sleeping until 7:30 at least. And that's what it was. Enjoying a bowl of Sun Bear this morning. Brought Carlos back out. He hadn't been seen for a while. He's got a hole in his hiney. I got to fix that. I'll just get some kind of a cap and crimp it on probably. But Carlos is back for an appearance. He's been MIA for a while, but he's back. But I'd done an initial review on this back early August, late July last year. Sun Bear came out in July, late July. What was funny is I was using the same pipe. Just grabbed this one by, just hadn't smoked it in a while, and I grabbed it. It's my Radice Devil Ants that's in desperate need of a buffing and a cleaning. You can't tell here real well, but in the bird's eye right there, I see a face of Charles Bronson. So he's always looking at me when I smoke. There's 3 other faces in there too of people, but that's what we were talking about bird's eye last night on House Party, and some of the designs you could see in it sometime. Pretty cool. But man, in rewatching that review, this has gotten a little bit better with age. It's got about 10 months on it now. And as it continues to age, the Virginias will continue to settle down and mature and mellow. And that honey is still there. When I reviewed it, I said it almost tastes like sipping honey through a warm straw, and I still get that. Still get that. So very good, very good. But it's Saturday. Minimal work to do on my MBA this weekend, which is fantastic. Just a few little quick articles to write. Those are easy. Knock those out today or tomorrow. And it's going to rain. I'm getting out here and getting a pipe in now because it's going to rain. So I'll be banished to the garage here by noon, I'm sure. It's rained all week. Just read WRAL local news here in Raleigh. They just told the Fort Bragg soldiers an hour or 2 ago, be prepared to deploy to Minneapolis in the next 4 hours. So Fort Bragg soldiers are on their way. I don't know if you know much about Fort Bragg or who's stationed at Fort Bragg. The Airborne for one, but Special Operations is also there. So one of the bases in the world where truly the best of the best in urban warfare live. The operators of the operators, the best in the world. So that's not good news. So those are the guys that can go in and extract people or put a bullet in somebody's head and in their sleep, and nobody even knew they were there. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. Don't get all crazy on me, YTPC and YouTube folks. I'm not saying they're going up there to kill people, but I'm just saying those are the dudes you do not want to mess with, you know. Throwing rocks and bricks and water bottles and shoes. You might want to rethink that. You're going to need a little something different for those cats there, because they don't mess around. So, and I'm not advocating that's who they're sending. They're just deploying Fort Bragg troops. I'm just telling you who lives at Fort Bragg and who trains at Fort Bragg is some of the best in the world, without question. So it's out of hand, totally out of hand up there. So, you know, seen a lot of posts, a lot of talk. Certainly change. There needs to be change. There is no excuse for what they did to Mr. Floyd, just none. And I do believe prosecution and the justice system will take care of it. And everybody deserves a fair trial. First of all, that's part of part of our Constitution and part of our beliefs as a country is you're due a fair trial by a jury of your peers. I'm sure he'll get one, and it's going to probably be a conviction, I would imagine, because the evidence is pretty damning. But you know, I've told a lot of people, they're like, this is the only way we can be heard. It's not. You're losing the narrative, because if you look at the headlines, they were all about police brutality and unnecessary force and the death of Mr. Floyd. Those headlines are now bottom back far into the paper, or down on the, for us now that we don't get a paper anymore, down on the scroll, right, down buried in page 5. Those aren't the headlines. Right now the headlines is, you know, deploying troops and calling in the National Guard in Atlanta and destruction of people's property and et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, you've taken I just think we, not you, we have taken an opportunity to really sit down and enact some change, and now that we're just going to condone violence, I just don't understand that one bit. So people are citing Boston Tea Party, that we had to be violent to come under a tyrannical rule. You know, I don't view this as being under a tyrannical rule. I view this as rogue people in a profession, and there are bad people in every profession in this country, period. There are bad doctors, there are bad lawyers, there are bad pharmacists, bad dentists. There are people that just enjoy hurting other people. There are racists in this country. The list goes on and on. But to condemn a whole institution, I know plenty of law enforcement officers, and they're great people. They're not what the media is painting this to be. You know, they're not these nasty, racist, neo-Nazi, you know, out to get everybody kind of guys. They're just not. They're good people, and to condemn a whole institution for the acts of a few, I think is unjust as well. So I don't know. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? As Piper's pulling me as I'm trying to relight my Sun Bear. And I don't have the answers. I can tell you, violence is probably not going to get you what you want. Because if you're going to use violence and you're using the Boston Tea Party as your model, that means you're going to have to overthrow an entire government. And you're not going to be able to do that with a divided country throwing rocks and bricks and things like that. You're going to, you know, it would take a heck of a lot more than that. So I would not use the Boston Tea Party as your mantra, because again, I don't think we're up against a tyrannical government system. I think we're up against rogue people in professions that are just nasty people that need to be dealt with on a one-on-one basis. So, yeah, like I said, there's plenty of fantastic police officers out there. They're friends of mine. I know them. But in any profession, you're going to get people. You're going to get crazy anywhere. So just think of it, throwing stuff and setting fires, and these guys are just trying to go to work. They got a wife and kids at home too, in fear for their life every day now. So my hope and prayer is something positive comes out of this, that we do get some change enacted and some real change. You know, blowhards like what's his name, Kaepernick, that's vowing to pay for anybody's criminal defense charges if they get violent. Why do that? Why not use your status and your power? Because you have it. Kaepernick's got status and power. He's well known. Whether people agree with it or not, or like him or not, he has status and power. He can influence real change. Get in front of people. You know, do it that way. Get at the table, talk. But will this ever stop an idiot police officer or an idiot doctor or an idiot dentist or an idiot construction worker that's a racist from doing a racial act ever again? It's not, because people are just by nature evil to some extent. You know, we're born into sin. So, you know, the pack is upset at something. Hey, you all calm down. I don't know what the heck's going on here. You're ruining my sun bear. Anyhow, folks, that's the mini rant for today. Pray for the country. Pray positiveness comes out of this. Pray real change comes out of this. Pray that nobody ever has to suffer the way that that Mr. Floyd suffered. That's just, you know, and I don't care about people talking about, well, the autopsy said it wasn't asphyxiation. I don't care about that crap. You put your daggone neck or your leg down on the man's throat, and whether strangulation or the stress of his heart or whatever led to his death, that led to his death. I can promise you, if you not put your neck or your foot or your knee on his neck the way you did for as long as you did, Mr. Floyd would still be alive today. I can promise you that. So you killed him. You killed him. There's no doubt about that. And I hope they pay the price. I hope they pay the highest price possible. And the ones that watched it, I hope they pay the highest price possible as well. Now, that's one situation where I would have said, if somebody would have went up and slugged that officer or hit him in the back with a baseball bat, I would have understood that. That's one situation where that type of violent act, to stop another violent act, I get it. I get it. But looting and robbing from Target and all these small stores and everybody's, you know, the justification I hear is, well, they've got insurance, they'll be fine. You don't know what their insurance is, and you don't know that they have insurance, and you don't know what their insurance policy covers. And if it doesn't cover rioting and looting and all that junk, you can rest assured that that insurance policy is not going to cover it, because that's not an act of God. That's a man-made act. There's your loophole. So if you're counting on that being an act of God, that's not an act of God. That is man destroying fellow man. So don't count on everybody getting to rebuild and getting insurance money. And that mindset just irritates and angers me. That you would take somebody's property and say, they'll be fine, they'll be fine, everything they've built and worked hard for, they'll be fine, just tear it down and insurance will cover them. You just don't know that insurance is going to cover them. You don't know where they were in life. You don't know how far in debt they were. You don't know how close COVID-19 may have been putting them to be under. You don't even know what their premiums are. Maybe they can't even pay their premiums now, or their what's the term I'm looking for? Not premiums, but their deductibles. They might not be able to pay that. They might have a deductible that was set so high because they were barely in business and barely struggling to get by and had just the bare minimum insurance because they didn't expect people to loot and rob and steal from them. You don't know that. So to say that, oh, it'll be fine, insurance will cover it, is ignorant. Ignorant as ignorant can be, because you don't know. Perhaps it will. Perhaps people like Target will be fine. But those little small mom and pops and those little shops, that boutique shops and stuff, you don't know. So your act of violence and irresponsibility may have just killed them, because now they may not have a means to provide for their family. And now depression and anxiety set in, and now suicide. You ever thought of that? You ever thought of that? You ever thought of your actions, how your actions change other actions? Everybody right now is thinking, my action will enact change. Well, your action's going to have counter actions as well. And those counter actions could really, really, really be damaging to people and cause a lot of death. Divorce, all kind of stuff. So you take something that was so nasty, and that rightfully that guy should be just prosecuted to the fullest extent. But you take that and turn it into something even worse. I don't get it. Hey, Annie. Daggone neighbors are out, so I gotta let you go. Anyhow, that's the Saturday Pipe and Coffee. Again, You know, don't get any of my words twisted. I'm not advocating that people shouldn't have a voice. I'm 100% supportive of people who protest and people that march and people that are activists and people that want to get their voice heard. I think that's how the country was founded, and I believe in it. But, you know, I'm not a proponent of doing it in a violent manner. And again, if you're citing the Boston Tea Party as your method of this is similar to the Boston Tea Party to change things, then you have to be prepared to take it the whole way and overthrow a government. Did you stop and think about that? Well, it'll get real tonight when those troops from Fort Bragg shows up. Hopefully nobody loses their life. Hopefully we can get this thing settled down and calm down. Hopefully the small business owners will survive. Hopefully we'll press charges on these police officers to the fullest extent of the law. And hopefully my friends that are police officers won't have to suffer backlash, because they are good people that are just caught up, you know, that have a few bad people in their industry. But every single one of you working at any single job, you've got bad people in your industry too. You do. You do. You've got racists in your industry. You've got misogynists in your massive, I can never pronounce that word. You got xenophobes in your industry. You've got people in your industry that are nasty, just like these police officers were. So don't condemn one institution unless you're going to condemn them all. Okay? That's my rant. Be safe, people. Be safe. Take care of each other. Love one another, for crying out loud. We're all in this together. Just take care of each other and love one another. And pay it forward. Check on each other. Be safe. And we'll catch you next time. Have a great day, everybody.